So today I actually want to talk about how to actually reduce anxiety. If you are a researcher or faculty someplace, then you probably actually have a lot of anxiety. A lot of us actually have that because we deal with a lot of stress on a regular basis. So I want to talk about that. So if you don't know me, I am Professor Dave Massack. I'm Associate Professor of Innovation Strategy and Entrepreneurship, and I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There's so many people to help me out that I want to pay the favor forward to help you out as much as I possibly can. So when you are a researcher or a faculty someplace, you're a professor or you're in that kind of career, you're in academia at this moment, you likely feel a lot of anxiety with the career and the things that you're doing because we are often faced with a tremendous amount of tight deadlines, and yet we really don't have a good sense of actually how to accomplish those things because most of the stuff we do is very novel. And we also have a large number of people saying that if we don't accomplish those particular things, that you're unproductive. Especially if you're not at the top of your career in a particular area. And so there is an unusual kind of setting there that generates a lot of anxiety for a lot of us, especially those who are trying to get tenure at different institutions. And so we really have to pay attention to that. So I actually want to talk about how to actually reduce anxiety, and this is what's been helpful for me. And some of these things I think are going to be helpful for you. So for me, I think a really important thing to reduce anxiety is to have somebody or something that you can walk and talk with. There's something magical that happens when you walk. And there's something magical that happens when you just kind of talk and let out your stress and frustrations with somebody. And that walking beside somebody, it is one of the most natural, amazing pills you can ever take, medications you can ever take, because it reduces a tremendous amount of anxiety to have those discussions. And so this brings me to my second point, is that exercising regularly and as much as you can, it is going to be very helpful. That's why you actually see me a lot on this channel where I'm actually exercising, is because it's usually after I've worked for a while and I just need some sort of stress relief. I need to get out and do something. So I blend it as part of my life as possible. I don't want to have this sort of stark contrast where, I just work, but I want it to be part of my life. So I'm living and breathing and exercising properly. I think that's the way that you actually do it in a healthy way. I think an important part for me that I've learned is that those moments of your day where you turn off and that you sit back and you don't think about work or you don't think about anything are very important for not just me, but for my family. And, I've got 2 kids and a wife, and those moments where it's just like family time, where we're just hanging out, is very important. So for us, maybe we'll watch, right now we're into watching the last 6 months or last year, we're into watching an episode of The Big Bang Theory when we go to bed. And so that's what we do. It's at 8:30. So, we'll sit down from at 8:45 and sit down and watch it until the end of it, until 9 o'clock. And we just kind of lounge around and watch that. So I know it's not that long, but at the same time, that's been very helpful for us to de-stress. And then, once it's done, the episode's done, and we've sort of negotiated for a little bit. It's like 9, 10, and then we all go to bed, and we do the sort of going to bed ritual where we put everybody to bed. And that's really helpful for us. I think it sort of is a part of maintaining a family unit. And it's also important for us just to kind of be part of something together and to maintain that sanity in our life. So another thing that you can think of in terms of for anxiety and reducing anxiety is actually getting a dog. So we've had a dog. We've had 2 dogs for ever since I started my PhD program. When we got married, the year I started my PhD program was the year we got married, and having a dog was actually our wedding gift to each other. And that dog was terrible. She was like the worst. You can imagine Marley and Me if you've ever seen that movie, but just like way worse than that. So, dogs are a plus and minus, then, is what I'm trying to say. So they do add stress, but in stress in a different way. It's like having, kids will add stress to your life. They definitely will, but it will be a different stress. And at the same time, they actually do give you a lot of satisfaction and a lot of something else to focus on other than, academic games and stuff like that. So that is kind of helpful to help you to navigate the anxiety and stress, because you takes your mind off of it and gets you to focus on something other than yourself and other than the career, and that's been helpful for us. So a fifth thing, and I know that this is hard to do, and I'm always working on this myself, is to stop comparing myself to others. It really does not matter what publication somebody else gets, and it does not matter where they are in their career compared to you. The only thing that matters is what you're doing. And focusing on what you're doing and the interesting things that you're doing is really the way that you actually progress, and you stop worrying about where everybody else stands. So I've been working on this repeatedly, where I just avoid, paying attention to what other people are doing. I simply try to never look at their, CV or anything like that at this moment, because it just gives me a lot of anxiety when I look at other people, and I just try to focus on what I'm doing and getting those steps forward with the thing that I'm working on. So this was the sixth thing is really interesting, because I never thought that this would happen, and it's kind of a side effect of the reciprocity project. If you remember what happened, I created the sharing economy editing platform. Go check it out and buy some credits, by the way. That would be very helpful. But I created it and I put it out, and I got nobody knew that this thing even existed on the internet. So I had to start doing these YouTube videos and stuff and getting more content out there so people would pay attention to it. And so as I started doing it, I started talking about myself and talking about what I do in dealing with things. So this talking process has been very therapeutic in a lot of different ways. So it's been very helpful for me to be more open about myself and how I feel and the struggles that I'm going through and all those kind of things. So the tricky thing with this is that you have to be very courageous, and you have to be courageous to speak your mind and be open. And particularly if you feel that you're being pushed around in some sort of way, and that's hard to do, though, to be more and more open, because you don't want to out somebody and you don't want to put them into a spot either. So I understand where you're coming from, but realize that being open does really help in a lot of ways, and it does give you some strength by doing that, because you realize that there's so many other people that are just like me doing the exact same thing and dealing with these kind of things. Okay, some really important things that I think are critical in terms of mindset and thinking about things. So you have to realize that you can always walk away. It does not matter what you're doing at this moment, and you really have to have that mindset that you can just do something else. Doing the academic game, you've got a lot more options than you think. And you could just walk away because you're extremely talented. We always forget how talented we actually are because the academic game is so difficult. You could just walk away and go do something else and do something amazing in a completely different career and be okay with that. The academic game kind of makes you forget that you are talented because you're always pushing and pushing and pushing, but you could just really walk away. And that's the eighth thing that I think is important is you're never ever stuck. Don't ever feel, whenever you start feeling that you're stuck in your career and you're not getting anywhere, take a step back and say, why do I actually feel like this? What is going on there? And realize when you do that you're never stuck. It is not something that you're really a lot more talented and better off than what you think you are. And if you get into that mindset that you're not stuck and there's no reason for you to feel stuck, it's going to help out a lot. And the last thing, the ninth thing, and I think this is going to help, is always think about the worst case scenario, in the sense that, what is the worst possible thing that's actually going to happen if you did this thing? Or what is the worst possible thing that could happen in your life? And, for example, somebody dies that's very close to you. If they died, all of these problems that you're thinking about at this moment don't matter. They're really inconsequential. So if you think about what is the worst possible thing that's going to happen to your life, it's going to frame the rest of the things that you're working on in a much more positive light, and you'll be able to see things a lot more clearly than you would by just focusing on, I just got to do this, I got to do this, and I got to do this, and then you can be a lot more appreciative. Like, I'm really appreciative of you following along and being part of this reciprocity project. It is something that's pretty cool. So with that, give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Hopefully this helps you out and give some food for thought for some of these things, and really try it out. I think that they will be helpful for you. They've been very helpful for me. And maybe you will be able to deal with some things a little better with that. So take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.